There was a time when the deal was simple. You worked hard, you got a stable job, you bought a house, you raised a family, and by the time you retired, you had something to show for it. That deal, the foundational promise of the middle class, is breaking down, not dramatically, not all at once, but steadily, quietly, in ways that most people feel before they can fully explain. This is future unlocked. The middle class was never just an economic category. It was a social contract, a shared understanding that effort and stability were reliably connected, that if you played by the rules would take care of you. For several decades in the 20th century, that contract held. Wages grew alongside productivity. Home ownership was achievable on a single income. Healthcare and education were expensive, but manageable. Retirement was a realistic expectation, not a distant fantasy. That world still exists in the memory of older generations. For younger ones, it exists mainly as a reference point, something their parents had, that they are quietly discovering they may never reach. To understand why the middle class is shrinking, you need to understand the forces that built it, and the forces that are now pulling it apart. The middle class in America grew strongest in the decades following the Second World War, a combination of factors aligned in an unusual way. Strong unions that kept wages high, a manufacturing economy that created large numbers of stable middle-income jobs, affordable housing relative to income, and social programs that provided a floor beneath which most people didn't fall. That combination was not permanent. It was a specific historical moment, and as the economy shifted from manufacturing to services, from domestic production to global supply chains, from stable employment to flexible and contingent work, the conditions that created that middle class began to erode. The productivity of the American economy has continued to grow, but the gains from that productivity stopped flowing evenly across income levels decades ago. They began concentrating at the top, into capital, into technology, into the ownership of assets rather than the performance of labor. What that means in practical terms is this: the economy is producing more than ever. But the portion of that production that reaches people who work for wages, who don't own significant assets, who depend on their monthly income to cover their monthly expenses, has been shrinking as a share of the total for a long time. And the gap between those who own assets and those who depend on income is now wider than it has been at almost any point in modern American history. The top 10% of American households now hold the vast majority of all financial assets. Stocks, bonds, real estate, business ownership, the instruments through which wealth generates more wealth, are overwhelmingly concentrated in the hands of a relatively small portion of the population. For the middle class, the primary asset has historically been the home. Home equity, the difference between what the house is worth and what is owed on it, represented the majority of middle-class wealth for generations. It was the retirement plan. It was the safety net. It was the thing you passed on. But when housing prices rise faster than incomes, the people who already own homes benefit enormously. And the people trying to enter the market for the first time find themselves priced out. Not because they are doing anything wrong, but because the asset has appreciated beyond what wages alone can reach. The result is a compounding dynamic. Those who got in early accumulate more. Those who didn't find the entry point moving further away. And the wealth gap between owners and non-owners widens with every passing year, quietly, mechanically, without anyone being specifically at fault. Now add to this the specific pressures that have intensified over the past 2 decades. Housing costs have risen dramatically faster than incomes in almost every major metropolitan area. The result is that the fundamental middle-class milestone, owning a home, now requires either a very high income, significant family wealth, or a willingness to take on debt levels that would have seemed extraordinary to previous generations. Healthcare costs have risen at rates that consistently outpace wage growth. A serious medical event, even for someone with insurance, can produce financial consequences that take years to recover from. And the anxiety of that vulnerability shapes financial decisions in ways that are difficult to measure but impossible to ignore. Education costs have risen so dramatically that the credential required to access middle-class employment now often comes with a debt burden that follows graduates through their most financially formative years, limiting the very financial mobility the education was supposed to enable. And now, layered on top of all of this, automation and AI are beginning to restructure the employment landscape in ways that disproportionately affect exactly the kinds of stable, middle-income jobs that the middle class has historically depended on. Now let's make this real. Imagine a couple named Tom and Rachel, both in their late 30s, both working full-time, combined income that puts them solidly in what the statistics would classify as the middle class. But their financial reality tells a different story. Their rent takes a significant portion of their combined income. They have student loans, they have a car payment, they have healthcare costs that their insurance doesn't fully cover. They are saving, but slowly, and the goal of owning a home in the city where they live feels further away every year, not closer. They are not struggling in the way that word is usually understood. They are fed, they are housed, they have phones and streaming services and occasional vacations, but they are one serious unexpected event away from a financial crisis, and they know it. That knowledge, that the margin between stability and real difficulty is thinner than it looks from the outside, shapes how they feel about their lives in ways that are hard to articulate but impossible to escape. Tom and Rachel are not outliers, they are the median. And there is something about their situation that is particularly difficult to navigate, because from the outside, it doesn't look like a problem. They are not in poverty. They are not asking for help. By most visible measures, they look like exactly what they are, a hardworking middle-class couple building a life. But the internal experience of that life, the constant calculation, the awareness of how thin the margin is, the quiet grief of watching a version of stability that their parents had become something that feels increasingly out of reach, that internal experience is real. And it is shared by millions of people who are too busy managing their situation to stop and name what is happening to them. The middle class is not disappearing loudly. There is no single moment of collapse, no dramatic announcement, no obvious villain to point to. It is disappearing the way most important things disappear, gradually, through the accumulation of small shifts that each seem manageable in isolation, but together amount to something fundamental. And the median experience of the middle class in America today looks less like the stable, forward-moving security of previous generations, and more like a careful, anxious management of a situation that feels increasingly fragile. The middle class is not disappearing because people are failing. It is disappearing because the structural conditions that made it possible are changing, and the new conditions favor those who already have assets over those who are trying to build them. That shift does not reverse easily. It does not reverse on its own, and it does not reverse without a clear-eyed understanding of what is actually driving it. The future isn't coming. It's already here. If this helped you see something you've been feeling but couldn't fully name, consider subscribing. There's more of this ahead.